Welcome to another episode of Painfully Fabulous. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Christine. We are CRPS warriors and here to remind you
When life is painful, you can still be fabulous.
Hey everyone, we're back, except it's not a we, it's just a me. Christine's in Curacao, but we are joined by the lovely Shawn. I've been away for a little bit myself, trying to work on a little project actually to help Shawn out with what we're doing today and what he's been doing. Shawn was asked by his family doctor to speak at the Northern Ontario Medical School University about his journey with CRPS. He spoke to second year medical students, yes, in January, and he'll be speaking to first year medical students in February with his family doctor. Shawn has become like my brother over the past couple years while we got to know each other, and he has helped the CRPS community immensely, and his journey with that is just beginning. Shawn's speech is powerful, so I hope you all enjoy what Shawn has to say today, and maybe you learn something. Shawn, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Kristen. Hello, my name is Shawn O'Brien. I am a husband to the most amazing woman in the world and father to an incredible young man. I'm the president of Subway Classic Cruisers Car Club, and I am a patient advocate and volunteer with Conquer CRPS. Here we help patients and doctors navigate through life with CRPS. I'm also a cancer survivor who also had 2 strokes, a heart attack, and I'm survived multiple near-death experiences. I'm also a recovering addict who is proud to be 25 years sober. And finally, what brings us together today, I am the first patient in Canada to have a transhumeral amputation as a treatment for complex regional pain syndrome, a condition that I hope you never forget the name of after today. Some of me a miracle, some call me a badass, but other one knows me as a warrior. In 2005, I had a lung cancer and my right lung was removed. I thought my life changed forever that day, but 2 days later, I met the love of my life, Judy. This woman keeps me alive every day. Judy and I were married in 2008, and she has been my rock and roll every day since. For the first few years of our marriage, we both owned our own businesses, so we were always working for ourselves or each other. We even worked on our wedding night. Judy had her own taxi company, and I owned a security business for 15 years. I was fortunate enough to work with big stars like Kiss, Motley Crue when they were in town for their shows. It was amazing. For our 5th wedding anniversary, I bought Judy her own Mustang, and I bought myself a hearse so that we could start going to local car shows together. I have always been a car enthusiast. That's why I'm now the president of the car club. As you could imagine, it's almost impossible to drive, and when you live with one arm and most intense pain recorded on the McGill-Pale Index. In any free time that we would get, Judy, myself, my son, and his wife would keep busy by having fun together. We went to the movie theaters a lot. We went hunting as much as we could, and we socialized with friends and family as much as possible. Life was good. I miss my life before CRPS, so does my family. On January 24th, 2018, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I was starting my shift at Manitoulin Transport as a forklift operator. My first task of the day was to help a rookie kid unload a transport truck. I had told the kid what to do, but he didn't listen to me. If he paid attention, I would have 2 arms today. Instead of lifting the forks off the forklift 4 inches off the ground, he jacked them up to 6 feet, tilted them towards me, and a 600-pound skid fell off. My instincts was to catch it. Well, it hit me in the soft spot of my neck, and I fell to the ground. I had to yell for someone to help me as the kid sat there on the forklift watching me. Once I got off the ground and told my foreman what had just happened, he sent me to drive myself to the hospital at 2:30 in the morning. I sat in the emergency room for 2 hours that night while they took x-rays and gave me the results. I had a fractured collarbone. I was sent home and went back to work the next day. I told you, Judy and I are workaholics. I continued to work modified duty for the first 6 months after my injury before I had to admit defeat and start the fight to stay home, but more on that later. Within a few weeks of my injury, my arm began to swell. It was turning red and the pain was more intense than anything that I have ever experienced. I wasn't sleeping. I couldn't get through a minute without pain. I was unable to use my arm. In February of that year, an orthopedic surgeon at Health Sciences North suggested that I had developed a condition called complex regional pain syndrome, something that I had never heard of before that day. After today, I hope you all remember the name complex regional pain syndrome. CRPS has been around since 1812. A doctor once told the patient that if the name of my conditions changed as much as CRPS has, it meant the medical community knows very little about it. That doctor was sadly right. I am hopefully that you will change the future. In 1994, CRPS became a new name of many conditions like reflex sympathy dystrophy, RSD. So my first medical referral for CRPS was to physiotherapist who also knew nothing about CRPS. They put needles in my hand, tried taping it and pushing me beyond my limits for 9 months. When I finally found a physiotherapist who knew about CRPS and was able to properly treat me, he actually recommended to my family doctor that I be sent to Autumn Health in Ottawa, where they help a lot of people with CRPS. I should mention that all of my medical referrals needed to be approved by WSIB since I had a workplace injury. And my initial injury happened in my neck, not my shoulder. So I had to fight for 18 months to get proper medical help from a doctor who actually understood CRPS and how one area of the body can affect the other. WSIB denied the referral to Autumn Health and sent me to Sunnybrook for further tests and opinions of my condition. I was sent for multiple MRIs, CAT scans, lots of blood work to figure out what was wrong with me. Instead of using the Budapest criteria for properly diagnosing me, like the orthopedic surgeon did, please learn more about the Budapest criteria. It is the only diagnostic tool for CRPS and it can save lives. The doctor who was treating me said I was faking my pain and sent that opinion in his report to WSIB. This is something that many doctors say to patients as it does not help the patient healing journey. It is one doctor knew to properly diagnose for the treatment. I would not have gone through half the trauma I've experienced, and I might still have my arm. Did you know that 79.41% of CRPS patients have seen 2 or more doctors before a proper diagnosis? We can safely assume this is the same for proper treatment too. During my time as a patient at the Sudbury Pain Clinic, I tried 7 ketamine infusions, and I only felt stoned for the first few hours from them. The other 6 did not touch my pain or other symptoms, so we stopped trying them. On November 8, 2018, they drained the blood out of my left arm and gave me an IV with medication. As the blood was drained, my arm was turning purple, and although they sent me home after a 4-hour procedure, my arm doubled in size overnight from allergic reaction. I wish I could remember the name of that medication. By this time, my arm was getting heavy to carry. It was incredibly painful and was becoming difficult for me and my family to look at. By November 2019, I was sent to Toronto Western University Hospital to discuss my options. I really appreciated their understanding of CRPS and how much it was affecting me. I was given 2 choices. They could try another ketamine infusion, but I've already tried that so many and they were not providing me with any relief. The other option was that we could try a spinal cord stimulator, but it could be problematic with my damaged spine. I already lived with that arm for long enough and had spent enough time doing my own research, so I suggested something different. We could amputate my arm to eliminate the problem. As you see, I chose amputation, but it doesn't stop CRPS from controlling my life. WSIB had the recommendations for amputation from Toronto Western, but their doctor at Sunnybrook again denied the request for my treatment. I have gone through hell trying to prove to WSIB and the doctors that something was wrong, but this time my arm did not like it even belonged to a human. I wasn't able to work. I didn't want to laugh. I couldn't sleep. I hated living in this constant pain. I had to show up to the WSIB office weekly to show them how out of this world my arm was because they wanted to deny my request for help. My workplace injury happened in my neck, and the doctor couldn't comprehend how a 600-pound skid falling on me could affect my arm. Come on. It wasn't until the first of my many suicide attempts before they understood the urgency of this referral. If you do not know by now, CRPS has been nicknamed as a suicide disease by patients and medical professionals. I stand here before you today as an attempt to change that for the next generation of CRPS patients and their families. In late 2019, after being accused of doctor shopping and my suicide attempt, my request for help was answered. I was sent to Dr. Richards at St. Joseph Hospital in London, and the first thing he said to me was that he has never seen a patient's file as thick as mine within their first year of diagnosis. Within 5 minutes of our conversation, he told me that my arm was going to be amputated. Words cannot express how I felt at the moment. He not only knew about CRPS, but he confirmed everything that I was going crazy trying to prove for a year. He agreed with the doctor from Toronto Western, I have CRPS, and now my arm needed to be removed as we could conquer it. WSIB actually approved the request for the amputation, and I was scheduled for January 20th at St. Joseph's Hospital. The only problem we faced at the time was the fact that I had one lung, so they needed to perform my amputation surgery in a trauma center, which at St. Joseph's does not have. I am thankful for the amazing doctors that helped me fight WSIB so that I could have my surgery at Western University in London, where they had a trauma center. I was scheduled to have my arm removed on the morning of March 13th of 2020. Do any of you know March 13th, 2020, COVID just hit Canada. My surgery was on a Friday when Canada was beginning to learn about COVID-19, and by Sunday, the world shut down. On the morning of March 13th, I was giving a nerve block to deaden the nerve before surgery. The doctors were very compassionate. I will never forget them. My hand was so heavy that they had to tie it to my chest because it kept falling to the side. And you have to remember that I am a recovering addict, so I had zero pain medication for this. I was awoken by the afternoon, and I was scared to look down to see what was left of after the surgery. The first thing I said when I woke up was, there is my wife, and I needed a Tim Hortons coffee. My arm weighed 32.5 pounds when it was finally removed. It was literally rotting off of me by this point, so they had to double bag my arm to dispose after the amputation because, well, it sort of blew up. I know that's gross, but you need to know that I was visibly suffering with CRPS, and my arm should have never gotten that bad. This needs to change. In the CRPS community, my case is considered extreme. Most patients do not need to have their limbs removed, but almost every patient has to go through similar battles with medical professionals in order to get a proper diagnosis and treatment. Most CRPS patients feel invisible in the medical system and in the world. Please help me change this. When I was released from the hospital, I had to stay in a hotel for a few days of isolations because of COVID. But when I was finally able to go home to my wife and my family with one arm and no pain, I was relieved, mentally and physically. The nightmare was over, and I could finally begin to live my life again. I learned how to live with one arm. I was laughing, I was with my family, and I was loving life. But 9 months later, I was outside and I fell on the stairs and was unconscious for about 5 minutes, and I unfortunately landed on my nub. This brought back the CRPS miserably full force, and over the next few months, I fell 27 times, had 23 concussions. I had my face glued together 16 times, broken my ribs. But this time, my CRPS has taken over my nub to the left leg and controlling my every waking moment again. This is another area of confusion for many people. CRPS can spread throughout a patient's body. This does not happen to every patient, but it is a possibility for many of us. Conquer CRPS believes this depends on the care that a patient receives and their lifestyle choices early in their CRPS diagnosis. But with the research so limited, we still cannot confirm why this happens. Some patients experience a spread on the same side as their original CRPS diagnosis. Others can experience CRPS pain on both left and right sides of the body. Some patients experience full body in CRPS, and it can also affect internal organs for some patients. CRPS can consume a person as it affects every nervous system in their bodies. Like many doctors, WSIB not want to believe that my CRPS was spreading. So they sent me to a spinal cord specialist to conduct more tests. The results from these tests, I had 0% function in my left leg. By this time, I was told by my doctor in Ottawa that I should be walking with a cane, that I would need a wheelchair in a few years and eventually would become bedbound due to severe of my CRPS. How would a person want to live like this? This is when I have tried every medication that a recovering addict is able to try, and nothing has taken away my pain. I am currently prescribed gabapentin, Lyrica, and all kinds of other drugs that are supposed to help me, but I am still miserable. Next week, I will be going for my third infusion with Inflectra, and they have advised me that it can take 3 months for the medication to build up in my system and for me to notice any positive effects so far. I have been in bed with unbearable pain since the first infusion on December 15th, but I am hopefully the next one will be better. For the longest time, Judy was the only reason that I didn't try to commit suicide again, and I couldn't do that to her. But at the same time, I hate doing this to her. Judy's the most amazing, caring, and loving person that I have ever met. She's also the strongest person I have ever met, and she deserves to be happy. But her daily life completely revolves around me. She has to help me do everything. She helped me get ready to be here today, and she even shoveled the driveway this week when it snowed. I would not be here without her compassion, commitment, and love. We both miss our life before CRPS. We miss the freedom and fun that we once had with friends and family, but most important, with each other. Although I spend most days in bed, I wanted to raise CRPS awareness and funds for CRPS research in any way that I could. I had t-shirts, hats, signs printed to display at my car shows so that people would learn about CRPS. My stories it features in 2 books by Eric M. Phillips, and in March of 2023, I was a Conquer CRPS Warrior of the Month. Since finding Conquer CRPS, I am finding a new purpose, a new strength to help me and Judy fight throughout each day. Do you know what Conquer CRPS is? It's a free yet invaluable resource to medical professionals, CRPS patients, and their caregivers. The woman who started this also lives with CRPS, but they had been dedicated their free time and resources to change the way we have to live with it. For every problem that a CRPS patient or their family is faced with, Conquer CRPS tries to find a way to conquer it. They've been doing this type of advocacy volunteer work since 2018, and I am proud to be fighting alongside them with all that they do for CRPS community. In August, I joined them for the 6th annual Conquer Walk to CRPS, and with the help of my car clubs, we were able to raise over $3,500 for CRPS patients who will be participating in a CRPS research at McMaster University. I meet with this group every week, and there have been able to meet so many other amazing warriors who inspire me to fight each day, and our fight together is just beginning. As we say at Conquer CRPS, we are stronger together, and together we will conquer CRPS. With the help of all of you today, I really have hope for the future. Please go to website for information, www.conquercrps.com. Thank you for your time and for your interest in learning more about complex regional pain syndrome.
Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell below to get notified of our upcoming episodes. And stay painfully fabulous.
Bing!